Hi, my name's Janice. Tonight, for my audience, I have my mom over sitting at the table, and I have my nephew Jared with me again. So, tonight I'm going to show you how I make my gluten-free cakes. I started doing gluten-free cakes about 7 years ago now, whenever I found out that I had an intolerance to gluten. It was also one of the first starts for some other health issues that I have. So I have to be extremely careful when I get hold of gluten, as I get extremely sick. I've already got my cake mix out. I get the yellow classic cake mix from Pillsbury. I just dump it in a bowl. Then to make mine into chocolate, I have my Hershey's Dark Cocoa Special Dark Mix, and I add about a nice size tablespoon of the cocoa powder. And then I get a fork and mix it in to see if it's the right consistency of the dark chocolate that I want in my cake mix. I think I'll put in a little bit more just to make it a little larger. Mix it in. I do this because I usually can't find a dark chocolate cake mix, so I wind up buying the yellow cake mix, and then I just add the dark cocoa, Hershey's dark chocolate to it. Then I need to add my 1 cup of water. And then I make sure that I get the right amount of water so that I don't have too much. Gluten-free cakes usually don't have a lot of moisture to them. They usually tend to be pretty dry. And then I have my 3 eggs that I can put in. So I put in, sometimes I'll use pudding mixes and mix in with my cake mix. Generally I use the sour cream. To me it just makes it more moist. And the pudding's good also, but I just prefer having the dark the flavor of the sour cream. It's not real strong, but it adds a little extra flavor to it. So, get my mixer here and mix it. Just get that mixed up a little bit here. And then I need to add my 3rd cup of vegetable oil. When my niece and nephew were younger, we used to make cakes all the time, and they would call them Jesus birthday cakes, which was a lot of fun to do with them. And I hadn't seen my niece for several years, and she came back and asked one day to make a cake, and we were laughing at how she used to call them Jesus' birthday cakes. And it was kind of a nice thing to do with her. toss it in here for a couple of minutes. If any of you have ever had a gluten-free cake, you'll know that it's very dry. It's usually pretty heavy and doesn't have a lot of moisture to it or anything like that. So that's why I add the sour cream to it also, is it gives it the extra moisture to it, and it also helps it not be quite as heavy with the rice flour and everything that they use to make the gluten-free cakes. A lot of people are doing gluten-free just to have it as a diet, but unfortunately for me, that hasn't been the case. It's an actual have to do things since I have the intolerance to it is basically what I have. They don't tell me that it's actually celiac, so it's just a high intolerance to gluten. I need to grab my cake pans here real quick. Okay, so I got my 2 round cake pans here. So then I'll spray them. You can also use the cocoa powder to put in on the bottom of your pan for like your flour. And that way with a dark chocolate cake, it does not make your bottom of your cake white. It keeps it the dark chocolates. And then that way you can also see it doesn't look it just looks better. It doesn't have the white tint to the bottom of the cake. So I'll spray my pans here with some Pam real quick. My spoons here. I learned how to use the cocoa powder whenever I did a cake decorating class several years ago. The instructor told us how using either you can use some of your cake mix, you just save back for it, or if you just use the cocoa powder, like what we just did here, it helps give your cake a little more flavor and everything to it. So you don't need to have it real well, just enough to kind of spread on the bottom and a little bit to the sides. And then just gently tap it out. That way you don't have a big blob of it left in the bottom. And then just gently tap it again. And now I have my beater. I don't use, as a normal rule, beat my sour cream into my cake batter. I usually just use my spatula and fold my sour cream into the cake batter. And then once I get that done, then I separate my cake batter into equal amounts into my cake pan. Then I don't throw them in, but then I put my cakes in the pans in the oven and then bake them for the 20 minutes. So that's how I make my gluten-free cakes. I hope you all enjoyed my video, and thanks for watching.